this book called Historic Taverns of Boston. I like the different terminologies they had for people. Tippling was like drinking slowly, was encouraged.
It doesn't seem, from what you read though, it doesn't seem like too many people were actually paying attention to that.
No, the amount of alcohol that everybody consumed back then was quite staggering. Term for drunkards was a toss pot or an ale night.
Why did that one ever go away?
Ale night sounds awesome. That doesn't sound like an insult at all.
I mean, to be honest though, that's such a title that it would probably encourage binge drinking though. I'm determined that tonight is the night I'll become an ale knight.
There must be some sort of drunken ceremony where you get knighted.
Oh, there has to be. With the poker from the fireplace. Arise. And that was, I don't know how true it is. I mean, a lot of these sayings and terms, I find it's difficult to know with any degree of certainty where they originally came from. But they talk about that there was a box, usually at the back of the bar somewhere, a small box with a small hole in it. And on the front of the box was to ensure promptness, which was like you'd put some money in there so that the server would serve you faster. And that's eventually where they think tipping came from.
The saying, mind your P's and Q's, apparently was kind of tavern slang for don't forget to take a running tally of your pints and quarts of the tables of who drank what. So mind your P's and Q's, pay attention to who's drinking what and who's buying what. I guess probably the oldest, I mean, you've probably been into many old pubs that have been around probably since the medieval times in England.
More than a few that are in the recorded in the Doomsday Book.
That's awesome.
Near us it was called the Grasshopper. And you could tell, if you went inside, every time they put an extension on it, the ceiling got higher. But then it's weird, because, some of them, they have two bars inside, because there was the bar for local people, and then there's the bar for visitors, and they're separate. And, the
Irish over there.
The visitors typically weren't allowed into the locals bar.
Reading about these old pubs there, I mean, it's a kind of a thing that we don't really experience here, but it's more like community hubs than anything else.
I remember going to them as a kid, and it would be everybody's there having a drink and having a good time, and the kids, you'd kind of get parented by, even as a young teenager, if you were there doing something, anyone would parent you if you were doing something you shouldn't, or you would just get told by whoever was closest. And then it's even as a young adult, some of these bars is interesting. You'll be there's no such thing as a private conversation in these places. If someone's at the bar and they hear what you're talking about, they'll join in if they've got something to say.
Yeah, well, you should go to the Maritimes. One of these things I read in this book was they describe, and I've heard the term before, beverage, describing a drink very similar to Switchel and almost sometimes synonymous with Switchel. And in this one, it describes Switchel or beverage as being a cider with water, ginger, and molasses. In this book, that's the first time I've heard it kind of referred to something that was cider based. And in here they have Switchel, as they described, as similar to beverage, but with a dash of rum. And it was 2/3 glass of hard cider, 1/3 glass of water with rum. The Switchel that the field and farm workers drink, and the awesome drink that we make, of course, isn't alcoholic, and it was more of a thirst quenching type of drink that would boost your immune system, that you could drink. It didn't have alcohol in it. It had vinegar in it to kill the germs. You wouldn't die, and it keeps you healthy. That was the first time I've seen it a cider based with water and rum. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
And it does seamlessly mix with booze, especially rum.
It does. Brought to you in part by The Smoker's Robot. Would you like to smoke over there but are currently over here? Smoker's Robot. And Radium Solution. Get rid of seasonal allergies with Radium. Also gets rid of blood pressure, heartbeats, normal cell growth, and all signs of life.
I did like the references I'd not heard before in that book to a drink called Old Trousers.
Yeah, that sounds nasty.
Nasty.
What was that again? That was...
Old Trousers was when they would collect up all the partially drunk drinks that night mix them all together and then serve it as a drink to someone. And it was obviously like the cheapest drink in the bar, but I would imagine probably one to be avoided unless you were really down on your luck.
Man, oh man. That probably had teeth in it.
Beard hair.
Yikes.
I know what they're like. They fall out all the time. It's terrible.
A hamster was a beer left momentarily out of sight and picked up by someone else.
See, where I come from, they call the person who takes the drink the minesweeper.
Oh, really? I'd never heard that.
That would be minesweeping drinks, is grabbing drinks that have been left or that somebody's not looking at.
There was also the expression drunk as a pig, a reference to how pigs, like humans, become intoxicated when they eat fermented grain, and then they behave aggressively, make sexual advances, fight, vomit, sleep, grunt loudly. It sounds like...
just like, why is...
Sounds like Night at the Seahorse in Halifax.
Why is a dog a man's best friend? Because it sounds like we've got an awful lot in comparison with pigs.
Kicked by the brewer's horse.
Been there a few times.
You're wicked hungover.
I love all these terms. I like the one you have from back home, bitten by the shark.
Yeah, that's a very regional, very, very drink-specific term, getting bitten by the shark. There was this wine, I don't even know if they still make it, called Great White. It was like, I can't remember, it was like 20%. It was so cheap. It was like $7 for maybe 1.5 liters or something crazy like that. I can't remember. But it was like the last resort if you couldn't get beer. This was like there was something else in it. I don't know what was in it. But every time you drank it, you had a terrible night. And you would either get arrested. Something crazy would happen.
Coca plant leaves.
Yeah. So you'd be looking for your buddy like the next day. It's like, what happened to him? It's like, I don't know. He ended up in, Cole Harbor. He was sleeping in the woods, and I think he got arrested later on. He got bitten by the shark, and everyone's like, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
It should come with a tattoo. As soon as you're in the drunk tank, this is a great white kid. Tattoo on his
There's got to be somebody. There's got to be someone in Nova Scotia who has a great white tattoo. If you're listening to this and you're from Nova Scotia, you've drank Great White and you have a Great White tattoo, please send us a picture of it.
Yeah, we'll send you some drinks. We'll send you something for sure.
Something better than Great White, that's for sure.
Like a bandage to cover it up or something. I don't know. Freak show is not really the right thing to use, but they would have these shows that would travel around these bars as well with, the typical sort of bearded lady, these kind of things. And I remember reading about one of them, and it was a lady who would they would put 2 chairs out, and she would lay with like her head and shoulders on one chair and her body stretched out flat and her feet on another chair, and then they would put an anvil on her stomach, and then they would hit the anvil with a sledgehammer, and she wouldn't bend. She would like stay straight and support the weight and the people hitting the anvil with a hammer.
How do you know you're good at that?
I don't know. So 2021, we're going to see the rise of the post-COVID sideshow traveling around. My favourite name for rum back then was Kill Devil.
I wonder how bad that actually was. Well, that's kind of where the term Newfie Screech came in.
Yeah.
The rum that they'd get up from the rum roots from the Caribbean. By the time they got to Newfoundland, it was, I think the way it goes was like, it was kind of like the bottom of the barrels, and it was so bad that when you drank it, you screeched. They do have Newfie Screech now, but it's just rum.
Yeah.
You get screeched in, and it's like you just take a shot of rum. It's not a big deal. I did get screeched in when I was in Newfoundland, but I never. I don't think I didn't kiss a codfish. No.
I probably kissed a couple of things worse than a codfish.
Depends how your night's going in Newfoundland.
Depends how much Great White I drunk that night.
You get bitten by the shark. If the only thing you did was kiss a codfish, you're lucky.
You're lucky.
That'd be a good night. Click buttons. Like, subscribe. How bored are you? Watch our shit. Share. Yeah, share.
You speak to someone on the phone and they're bored, send it to them too.
Exactly. Even if you don't like it. Especially if you don't like it. Send it to people you don't like.
If you have hurtful or hate-filled comments to send to us as well, we're down. We got pretty thick skin and it will probably make us laugh. So, you want to make fun of us?
I don't know. I'm pretty delicate. I'm like a influencer or whatever. Public figure.
We'll do awards for the best comment that made us laugh the most.
I'm pretty disappointed in my friends not heckling any of my They're terrible.
It's not what I
people.
expected at all.
No. If any one of them had posted a video of them doing literally anything, I would be roasting them to death until I ran out of things to make fun of them about. And none of them have done that, which is, they're horrible people.